Most men believe the greatest threat to their relationship comes from some stranger at a bar, a late-night party, or a random encounter. But that's not where the danger really lives. The truth is far less dramatic and far more devastating. The real threat is often sitting right next to her every single day, at her desk, in meetings, on business trips. A coworker who knows how to listen, how to validate, how to slide past every defense without raising suspicion. Betrayal doesn't always arrive loudly. More often it sneaks in quietly through routine, through the very environment where she spends most of her waking hours. That's why so many men get blindsided. They're looking in the wrong direction. They're focused on strangers, while the real danger is the man who spends 8 hours a day with her. That's more time than you spend together during the week. Think about that. In this breakdown, I'm going to walk you through 6 powerful signs that point to a workplace affair, and more importantly, what you must do when those signs appear. Why the workplace is the perfect trap. Let's step back for a moment and understand why this happens. Work isn't just about tasks. It's about repetition, collaboration, shared stress, and little victories stacked day after day. This creates what psychologists call proximity bonding. When two people share pressure and solve problems together repeatedly, emotional closeness builds naturally, even if they never intended it. Add late nights, business travel, and instant messaging, and what begins as teamwork often turns into intimacy. What starts with great job on that presentation can quietly evolve into how was your evening? Then how are you really doing? For women, attraction isn't just physical, it's emotional. When a coworker validates her ideas, remembers her details, and shows up consistently, that bond can feel more powerful than anything material. And then something subtle but dangerous happens: comparison. At the office, competence and status are always on display. Hypergamy, the natural pull toward perceived higher value, is in play. If a colleague looks sharper, leads stronger, or simply pays closer attention, the seed of attraction is planted. Cheating rarely starts with obvious choices. It starts with micro moments, smiles, inside jokes, private texts, that grow roots in the shadows, and unless you're awake to the signs, you won't see them until the foundation of your relationship is already cracked. Let's break down the 6 clearest red flags. Sign 1. The sudden transformation. A woman who has dressed the same way for years rarely reinvents herself overnight without reason. But when attraction at work takes hold, her appearance often becomes the first giveaway. New wardrobe, new shoes, a sharper hairstyle, makeup routines that suddenly require more time. And here's the telling detail. She reserves this new look for the office. That's not about self-care. That's about audience. Pay attention to where the investment of energy is directed. Does she spray perfume before leaving for work but not before spending time with you? Does she suddenly light up when discussing what she'll wear to the office, but not when you plan a date night? Often one compliment from a colleague, "That color looks amazing on you," triggers a ripple effect. Suddenly her closet fills with more of that shade. A joke about her hairstyle becomes a reason for weekly salon visits. Don't mistake this for vanity. It's targeted effort. And if that effort isn't for you, it's for someone else. Sign 2. The constant name drop. Listen closely to her stories. Does the same man keep showing up? She can't stop weaving him into conversations. Maybe she shares his jokes. Maybe she highlights his achievements. Maybe she casually mentions his weekend plans. At first it feels innocent, just office chatter. But when his name keeps surfacing, that's not coincidence. That's investment. Pay attention to the tone. Does her voice lift when she talks about him? Does she repeat his opinions as if they carry special weight? Does she know details about his hobbies, his family, or his personal struggles? That's no longer professional. That's emotional. And when comparisons slip in, he's so organized with projects or he's always prepared, it cuts deeper. Whether subtle or blunt, comparisons signal that she's weighing him against you. That's a line that should wake you up immediately. Sometimes the opposite occurs. She stops mentioning him altogether. But silence doesn't mean he's gone. It often means the attachment has grown so strong she doesn't want to reveal it. Constant praise or sudden avoidance, both point to the same truth. Sign 3. Shifts in her schedule. Routine is predictable, until it isn't. When her hours suddenly change, when unexpected meetings pop up, when travel demands increase without clear explanation, pay attention. The classic mistake men make is rationalization. She's just working hard. The company is pushing her. But ask yourself, why now? Why after years of stable hours is she suddenly unavailable? Notice how vague the explanations become. "I'll be late. We have a project. It's just a team dinner. No names, no specifics, no clarity. Ambiguity is the shield that protects betrayal. Then comes the technology shift. Her phone, once left casually on the counter, now never leaves her hand. Messages after hours, calls taken in another room, notifications turned silent. Individually, these might look innocent. Together they're a pattern, and that pattern says one thing: her time and energy are being redirected elsewhere. And where time goes, emotional investment follows. Sign 4. The rise of secrecy. Transparency is simple. When there's nothing to hide, nothing needs to be guarded. But when secrecy expands, you're looking at a fundamental shift. Her phone is suddenly face down, passwords get changed. She tilts the screen away when messages come in. Calls are answered with her back turned. Social media threads that once stayed public are now wiped or hidden. Even more telling is her defensiveness. Ask a simple question: who was that? And the reaction is outsized. Irritation, accusations, flipping the blame onto you. This isn't digital hygiene. This is concealment, and concealment always comes with cost. Remember, secrets require energy to maintain. The more elaborate the secrecy, the deeper the investment in keeping it alive. If she's pouring that much effort into shielding her digital world, it's because there's something or someone worth hiding. Sign 5. You're cut out of her work life. Think back to the early days. She probably invited you to the company holiday party, introduced you at team dinners, brought you into her professional world. Now, the invitations vanish. Suddenly, it's just boring, or it's only colleagues. Nothing big. That's not casual exclusion. That's intentional separation. Here's why it matters. Visibility is accountability. When you're present, others see your role. When you're absent, the role can be rewritten. Cutting you out gives her freedom. Freedom to interact with someone else without the weight of your presence. Freedom to operate as though unattached. The bigger danger is identity division. She begins curating two lives, one where you exist, and one where you don't. And in that hidden life, betrayal thrives. Sign 6. The physical clues. At some point, feelings turn into facts. Receipts from restaurants you never visited, hotel charges you can't explain, jewelry or gifts you didn't buy. These are not coincidences. They're fragments of another reality, and the more fragments appear, the less her story holds. Even smaller things matter. An unfamiliar jacket in her car, a second phone charger, event tickets to places she never mentioned. One excuse might cover one clue, but patterns crush excuses. Don't let her dismiss your awareness with, "You're overthinking," or "That's nothing." Physical evidence is never nothing. It's the residue of actions that happened out of your sight. What to do when you see the signs. Recognizing the patterns is step 1. Responding is step 2. First, document what you notice. Not to play detective for drama, but to anchor yourself in facts. Dates, times, receipts. Emotions distort. Evidence clarifies. Second, initiate calm confrontation. Don't explode. Don't accuse wildly. That gives her the upper hand. Sit down, present what you've seen, and use I statements. I found this receipt, and I need clarity. Keep it about facts, not rage. Third, listen to her response. Honest answers are consistent. Dishonest ones are scattered, defensive, and full of blame shifting. Watch not only her words but her tone, her body language, her deflections. Fourth, set boundaries. This is where men collapse. They gather evidence, they confront, but then they tolerate lies. You cannot control her choices, but you can control your standards. Transparency is non-negotiable. Respect is mandatory. If she won't honor them, she's choosing the consequences. Understand this: confronting betrayal is not about saving her approval. It's about protecting your dignity. The office is not just where work gets done. It's where betrayal often begins. Quietly, subtly, invisibly. And the signs are there if you dare to look. The sudden appearance makeover. The coworker's name that won't leave her lips. The shifting schedule. The growing secrecy. The shrinking of your place in her professional life. The undeniable physical clues. Ignore them, and you'll wake up blindsided. Face them, and you reclaim your clarity. Denial is the most expensive choice a man can make. Every day you look the other way, you trade your dignity for temporary peace. But awareness, though painful, gives you power. Power to confront, power to set standards, power to walk away if those standards are broken. Because betrayal doesn't begin with big choices. It begins with small cracks, and the man who notices those cracks early gains the chance to act before it's too late. So ask yourself, are you willing to see what's in front of you, or are you more comfortable pretending? The difference will determine whether betrayal breaks you, or builds you into a man who will never accept less than respect.